What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Today I'm going to be introducing something a little bit new to the channel. For years I've done tons of hunting gear reviews, but mostly revolving around whitetail. But two of my other favorite animals to hunt are pigs and coyotes. Currently I'm running the Rix Leap L3 thermal with the LRF 01. Awesome setup, by the way, but unfortunately we won't be reviewing that today. Be on the lookout for that in the near future. So today we are going to be reviewing the Tor T20 digital night vision scope. So full disclosure, we will show the screen while we're going through the settings, but this video will not contain any hunting footage whatsoever. So if you're looking for that, you're going to need to head on over to my Facebook page. Due to YouTube's strict policies on thermal and night vision, I'm definitely not going to risk all the hard work put into my channel. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to do an unboxing. We're going to do a walk around, run through all the settings and stuff, and then I'm actually going to be taking this bad boy out and hunting with it this weekend, and I'm going to come back in this video and tell you guys my final thoughts. So we're going to jump in here and see what comes in the box. This is going to be breaking a fresh seal. I have not opened this yet. So we're going to be seeing this for the first time together. This scope runs about 600 bucks and currently is their cheapest offering. If you guys don't know much about Rix, they are a Texas-based thermal and night vision optics company, and currently their offerings for a thermal is going to be the Leap and the Storm, and the Tor is going to be their only offering for a digital night vision scope. They also have thermal binoculars, and I believe they have a thermal binocular as well. I believe they were founded in 23, so they are hitting the thermal and night vision market pretty daggum hard, and they're killing it. So let's open this thing up and see what we've got inside here. So we have an eye cup here, 7 boxes of hardware, and we have our scope. So this thing does have a little bit of weight to it, but it is relatively small. I'm not sure how much it weighs, but we can look that up in a minute. We've got an owner's manual, and that is going to be it for the box contents. We've got a battery charger. We have got our IR light, which is pretty small and compact. So box number 3, we've got an offset mount here for our IR light, and it is a quick disconnect mount, so you'll be able to put that on and take it off really easily. Box number 4, we've got one of the scope rings. I assume it's going to be another scope ring. Another scope ring. We've got a scope ring that looks like it is going to be to mount your flashlight mount there. And I assume this is going to be batteries. Alright, so we've got a USB-C cable here, and we've got an 18650 it looks like, so that's awesome. So let's talk about the scope itself and its features that you can see here on the outside. So first of all, this is a day-night scope, full color, night vision, and daytime scope. Built into the eyepiece here is going to be a beautiful OLED screen. You can see 3 buttons here on the top, and that is going to be your power button. It's going to be a record button and your mode button. On the side here you have a menu button as well as a scroll button, which is also going to be your zoom in and out. This scope has a 50mm objective lens, and your focal length adjustment is going to be right here. You turn it left and right to dial in your clarity, and on this end your diopter adjustment is going to be here, and that's going to help you dial in the clarity of your reticle and the rest of your screen. Your eye cup will just slip right over this right here. We're not going to do that right now. I don't really want it in the way, but here you have a cap, which is also going to have a USB-C for charging here, and that also comes with a 32 gigabyte micro SD card. So this scope has a 3.5 to 14 times magnification, and that is going to be your optical magnification, and it also has a 1 to 4 times digital magnification. You're going to get a 50 millimeter or just under 2-inch eye relief here, so that's pretty good. This thing comes with a built-in battery, which is going to boast about 14 hours worth of battery life. And if you think about it, most places don't have 14 hours of dark. So before we dip into the menu, I'm going to go over the features. It says vivid imaging, record HD video, has Wi-Fi, has picture-in-picture. We'll show you that in just a second. Ultra-low power consumption, single-core A9 processor, full-color night vision, recoil active video, which is awesome. It says focus cross pattern, not sure what that means, but E-compass, has one-shot zero, which if you know what that is, basically you shoot and then move the reticle to where the impact was, and then you shoot again and verify, but technically it's a one-shot zero and can save you a lot of time and money. It says it has the ability to share on social media, so not real sure what that means. A couple other important specifications here. It says its memory capacity in gigabytes is 4 gigabytes to 256 gigabytes, which is awesome. If you like to have one big card in there, you can take it out, pull some footage off, stick it back in. This scope is compatible with the app, which is very awesome. You can actually hook the app to the scope, and you can see all of the videos that you've recorded. And I haven't tried it on the Leap yet, but I do believe that you can use it as a viewfinder. So basically that covers everything with the exception of the menu. All right, so this is kind of a janky way of doing this, but I've got everything jacked up here perfectly to run through the menu, show you guys all of the settings. So you hit the button on the left turret and it brings up the menu, and then you will see a list of different settings here. And then you guys can skip through this if you don't want to see it, but we'll run through each one. So in order to skip over to the menu on the right, you hit the menu button again, and it jumps over there. Then you can scroll up and down, and then you hit the menu button again, and you can select which one you want. We're going to leave it here on 3. Screen widget display allows you to select what you show on the screen. We will, just for giggles, turn everything on just to see what it looks like. And then to back out of that menu, you just tap the power button one time, and then you go to your next contrast setting. You can adjust your contrast, go back. You can see your version here. I've just updated the software, so this is the current software. Hit the power button to go back. Hit the power button to go back again. Now this is what I wanted to get to. So you can select your reticle. We'll select reticle color. You got green, black, red, blue, and yellow. So we're gonna select yellow. And then hit the menu button. That's gonna give you a yellow reticle. Then you can select the reticle shape. Displays what the reticle is gonna look like. So let's see what all reticles we've got here. Okay, so we'll select this reticle, your reticle calibration. This is going to be for sighting in your scope for your one-shot zero. We won't get into that right here, but it is very easy. It's the same concept on the Leap series scopes. It was very, very easy. Go back out. Reticle position. So this is your profiles for your different rifles, and so each profile would be for each gun. So say profile 0 could be set up for your 5.56, and then 6.5 Creedmoor for profile 1, profile 2 6.5 Grendel, you know, so forth and so on. You switch it over, select the profile, and it'll be zeroed in for that specific rifle. We'll go back, picture in picture. So if you don't like to have your whole viewfinder zoomed in, you can put your viewfinder at, say, 5 times magnification, and then you have a small picture-in-picture will be extra zoomed in. So you get a bigger picture of your target, and then you get the smaller picture of it really zoomed in so you know where you're going to be hitting the target. This is an example. So that little block there is going to be where the zoomed in picture is going to be. And then here is where you select if you want 2 times, 4 times, 6 times, 8 times, or off. So I'm going to put it at 4 times and leave it. And that's probably how we're going to hunt. All right, and you got your video mode. So you can select, what format that your scope is going to record in. For example, for YouTube and stuff, I normally do 4K 30 frames per second, but the scope only records up to 1080p. So I only use 30 frames per second. So we're going to do 1080p 30 frames per second. And then we're going to select it again, and we're going to turn on recoil activated video. All right, and then so Wi-Fi, this allows you to connect it to your phone. You just click your menu button again, turn it on, and then top right you will see a Wi-Fi icon there indicating that it is on. So go back to the menu and you have your settings. You can go through, set your language, date, time. You can calibrate your gyro, compass correction, auto power off, which I don't think I would ever use that. Distance unit, it's currently set to yards, which is what I would use it on. Format, you can format your SD card and you can set it back to default settings. So I had already connected this to Wi-Fi, so what it does is automatically sets your date and time, because I didn't go in here and set this. So this is the current date and time at the recording of this video. We're going to go back to our main screen. So we'll talk about the icons on the screen, top center. Obviously, this is the picture-in-picture that we just discussed. The rest of the screen is going to show your whole field of view. The little box is going to take just that little square around your reticle, and it's going to zoom in to whatever magnification that you select. Right now, I've got it set to 4 times, and if you go and check out the hunting footage that will be posted on Facebook, you will be able to see that in real time. On the left and right, it's going to be your gyro indicators. Top left corner is going to be it's going to show your record mode with 6 hours and 33 minutes and 55 seconds left of recording time. So on the bottom center, I believe that is going to be your calibration profile. Bottom right is going to be the time. And at the top right, you're going to see a Wi-Fi icon, a SD card showing you that your SD card is entered, and you're going to see your battery. And then below that, you're going to see at what magnification you're at. So this is probably how I'm going to wind up running this scope. I don't need the gyro showing on there, and I definitely do not need the profile to be showing on the screen. So just a bunch of clutter. So now that we're through with the boring setting stuff, I'm going to give you guys my first impressions, which is going to be short because I've only had this thing in my hands for probably about 30 or 45 minutes. So my first impressions, this thing is not really overly heavy, but it does have some weight to it. I'll be honest with you, I did take it outside and look through the scope without the flashlight, and it was pitch black, and I could see, probably 50 or 60 yards pretty easily, and it was very clear and in full color. So overall, first impressions, I am pretty impressed with this for a $600 scope. I've got regular scopes that cost more than double that, but this thing is packed full of features. I really like the buttons. They have that nice tactile click to them, and the zoom on this left turret here is really nice. You can actually feel clicks as you're zooming. And the ability to just reach up here and adjust your focal length to fix that focus is pretty awesome. The screen on this thing is really clear, and overall I think this thing is going to do great in the field. So far there's only one thing that I wish was better, and that was the included scope mounts. And you can see here that this is just a regular scope mount, and they did send a quick release mount for your flashlight, but I really wish that this came with a better mount. I know for $600 you can't really ask for much, but at least individuals with throw levers to be able to quick release these would be a beautiful touch. I think it's time. I'm going to get this thing loaded onto a rifle. We've got about 2 or 3 properties set up that we are going to be taking this thing out and putting it to the test. So you guys hang tight, and we'll be back at the snap of a finger. Alright, so we are back from our hunting trip, and unfortunately we didn't get to pull the trigger on any coyotes, but if you want to see the footage of what it looks like looking down this scope, go check out my video on Facebook. That's Rob's Man Cave, Rob's with a Z, Rob's Man Cave on Facebook. That video will be posted there later on. Let's get into my final thoughts and opinion on this guy here. So full disclosure, I was using a thermal before I got sent this scope, but I have used a ton in the past, so I'm fairly confident in my experience. and my ability to give you guys an honest and unbiased review. First off, I want to say that sighting in these scopes are absolutely awesome. The One Shot Zero is a time saver, money saver. It is the way to go. So we did have a little bit of a problem whenever we first got out there. Of course, this was the first time I was using this scope, and I wasn't thinking about the day-night switch button here. It's a mode button. And so we got set up, and I'm trying to look through the scope, and everything is just so grainy. And I was like, man, this thing is just absolutely unusable. So it took us about 15 minutes to figure it out. Obviously, it's dark. We didn't have the manual. So my buddy was like, doesn't this have a day-night mode switch? And I was like, oh my God. So yes, we pushed the button and cleared right up, and it was crystal clear. One big thing that I love about this scope is it is IP68 rated, which means that it can be submerged underwater for a certain depth. I think it's like 5 feet or something like that. For up to 30 minutes, which means if you are in a torrential downpour, you're not going to have any problems with this scope getting wet and being damaged. So waterproof is a huge deal, especially with electronic scopes. Next thing I want to touch on is the internal battery. They claim 14 hours of battery life. Did not hunt 14 hours, but we did hunt a solid 8. Probably an hour, maybe hour and a half of that is walking from place to place. We could say a solid 6.5 hours of actual hunting time, and this scope did not even use half of its battery. So battery life is excellent, because if you're going to be out there and hunting for 12 hours, you know, you're going to run out of darkness anyway. So another cool feature is that you are able to charge this scope while you're hunting. So if you do happen to get low on battery, you know, you just unscrew this cap, plug your power bank into it, and you are ready to ride. Another great feature of this scope is this huge focus ring. So when you're scanning and you're hitting different ranges, being able to reach up there and just grab the front of the scope and start focusing is huge, especially when stuff's popping off. So on the left side of the scope, this is your zoom turret here, and base magnification is at 3.5, and I think it goes up to 14. In my opinion, the zoom is best kept at 3.5. You know, with any digital scope, the more you zoom in, the more quality you lose. It's going to be grainy. So I like to keep it at 3.5 and then use the picture-in-picture at about 4 times magnification. That way you're still able to get a big picture of what you're scanning, and then whatever your reticle is on, you'll have that magnification right there on your reticle, so you can ensure that you're going to get great shot placement. So one thing I was worried about with this scope was clarity. I must say that I was absolutely impressed. The hunting footage that will be posted on Facebook absolutely does not do it any justice. In fact, I think that is one of the few negatives of this scope, is the recorded footage does not necessarily depict exactly what you're going to see in the viewfinder. But I will say this, and we'll talk about the IR light later, but this scope thrives on light. So the more light you have, the more clarity you're going to have, and that's especially with zoom. Another feature that I kind of like is the recoil activated video. I think it's really good for, you know, when the action really starts popping off and you forget to reach up there and hit the record button, that, you know, when you shoot, you're going to get, you know, a few seconds before the shot, a few seconds after the shot. The only downside to that, to me, is, you know, when you're scanning and, you know, you kick your tripod or something like that, a lot of times that recoil activated video is going to come on, so you're going to have a ton of extra footage that you're going to have to sort through. So I do think the recoil activated video could save your butt in a pinch, but I just wish that you could change maybe the sensitivity of it. So one of the accessories for this scope that I am a little unsure about is going to be the eye cup. Now, this eye cup is really easy to put on here, and I think that it really helps with the light coming out of the scope hitting your face. So I do think this eye cup is important so you don't get spotted while you're hunting. But with anything that is this easy to go on, it is also that easy to come off. So, you know, when you're transporting your stuff from one spot to the next, you got to really be careful if you're going to keep this on, because if you bump into something, it's just going to take it right off. So I do prefer to run this scope as well as my L3 without the eye cup. So I do want to touch on the Rix app a little bit. This scope obviously is compatible with the app. Now the app makes things a lot easier for updating. You literally just download it to your phone, hook it to your scope here, and it updates. Takes a few minutes, but makes things a lot easier. So another cool feature of the app is the recorded footage from the scope will show up on your phone if you're connected to the scope, and you can also download it to your device. So you can see here I've got a bunch of videos, so I can just click on it, download it to the device, and I can look at it anytime without being connected to the scope. The biggest feature of the app, in my opinion, is the ability to use it as a live viewfinder. So you can connect your phone to the scope, and then as you're scanning, somebody else can be sitting there watching your phone, and you can also scan and look at your phone, so you're not looking down the scope the whole time. The only downside to that, again, is the light coming off your phone. Being in the dark, you're likely to get spotted, but the app is a must. If you own a Rix scope, you need that Rix app. So now we're going to move on to the factory supplied IR light. Now honestly, I have to say, when I saw this thing, I was like, there's no way that this little light is going to do anything out there. So I was already prepared to have to swap it out with a different light. Got out there and was pleasantly surprised. This light is pretty good out to about 200 yards, but at that range and further on up to about 420 yards, which was the furthest that I've used it. You can dial it into a spot, and you can see pretty good out to 420 yards, but you will definitely have dark corners in your sight picture. Up to about 100 yards, this thing could be all the way on flood, and you can see really good out to 100 yards. The focus is kind of wonky, so whenever you're going from full flood to full spot, you can't really tell, but it moves around a little bit, so it makes it to where your light is actually not centered in your scope anymore. So I would really like to see a little bit more of a tolerance here on your bell housing to kind of keep that light straight. Overall, for the price point of this scope and IR light combo, I think this light is perfect. Plus, not everybody is going to be shooting out 200 plus yards, and if they are, they're probably going to buy an upgraded light anyway. Now, I do like the mount, that it is a quick release there. You just throw that lever, pull it right off, and throw it in your bag if you don't want it getting bumped around. Alright, so now for my final words on this guy. First of all, I want to say that I'm a pretty big fan of Rix. I've owned and used several other scopes from other companies, and Rix, even though they are a newer company, so far they have proven to be a lot more proactive in improving their software, their app, and coming out with new products. Whereas other companies got a little bit too big for their britches too quickly, and their customer service and their software quality kind of fell off. We're not here to bash anybody, I'm just kind of stating the obvious. I think this scope is a great option for night vision. All of the features are there, and the clarity is pretty daggum impressive. Don't completely discount the IR light, because it is definitely great for what it is, but I do think that it would be a good investment to buy an upgraded light, because the factory one is only going to get you so far. So I feel like the quality that you get out of this thing, it is really hard to call this an entry-level scope. Although I am pretty spoiled with thermal, which mine was about 5 times the cost of this, including the rangefinder, I think this is a pretty amazing scope, especially for the price point. Some people just prefer night vision, and that's okay. This is definitely a solid option for them. This scope is also going to be a great option for people who want to get into night hunting but aren't quite ready to drop that coin on a thermal. So it gives a lot more people the opportunity to get out there and do what we do for a lot smaller price tag. I do intend to keep this scope on hand for buddies who want to go with us to hunt, and this would be a great option as a backup for my L3. So overall, the pros absolutely outweigh the cons. Definitely wasn't but a few cons we had there, but this thing is definitely going to be a thumbs up for me. So if you're looking at this scope and you want a solid option for night vision, this is your guy. You guys be on the lookout for a review on the Leap L3 coming up, which will be posted on YouTube, as well as a ton of night hunting footage that will be posted on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You know, because we can't post that stuff on YouTube. But thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time in Rob's Man Cave.